focused. Yes, a little self-congratulation for a Wednesday. Welcome to the Blue Hour Reading Series, the last show of the season. Wow. It's like a little sadness. That's okay. We'll be back. We'll be back in the fall. So I want to start, as we always do, with our land and labor acknowledgement. We want to acknowledge that this event is being hosted on the unceded traditional homelands of the Council of the Three Fires, the Ojibwe, Odawa, and Potawatomi nations. Many other tribes, such as the Miami, Ho-Chunk, Menominee, Sauk, and Fox, also call this area home. The region has long been a center for Indigenous people to gather, trade, and maintain kinship ties. Today, one of the largest urban American Indian communities in the United States resides right here in Chicago, continuing to contribute to the vitality of the city and to celebrate their heritage, practice traditions, and care for the land and waterways. We invite you to take this moment to honor all who came before us, the Indigenous peoples displaced by colonization, as well as those who built this country through uncompensated and compulsory labor, those enslaved and those oppressed. We honor those who came before and all those who continue to live on this land as we hold this shared space for art and expression. We also want to take a moment to acknowledge that today is Nakba Day, which marks the ethnic cleansing of Palestinians and their violent expulsion from their homes and land by Zionist militias. At the back table, there's a sign with some links to resources that are available through Haymarket Books, Writers Against the War on Gaza, and others for learning more about the history of Gaza, the current genocide, and actions that can be taken by way of resistance. We want to dedicate this night of artistic expression and liberatory practice to the hope and effort that will make Palestine free. So this event is hosted by the Chicago Poetry Center. At CPC, we believe that poetry illuminates our individual and shared humanity, fueling thriving lives and healthy communities. Our mission is to connect people in poetry, equitably engage poets with communities, and foster creative literacy in the city and beyond. We envision and work to create a fair and verdant world rooted in artistic expression, human connection, and boundless imagination. There's lots of information also on the back table about our programs, including residencies and performances in Chicago Public Schools, our Literary Life series, which includes this, as well as our summer reading series, which will be starting up in June in the West Loop, Poetry at the Green. There's a big green flyer back there, check it out. That is a weekly series through the summer that is a featured reader and open mic, and also our Critical Conversations at Work anti-racism program. All that info available on the back table. It is our 50th anniversary, officially starting this summer. It's a big deal, y'all. We made it 50 years. As somebody who also celebrated their 50th anniversary recently, I can say it's a big deal. Actually, almost 51, but it's fine. You know, it's like a year ahead of the Poetry Center. So mark your calendar for Saturday, July 13th. We'll be launching that anniversary with an exhibition at the Poetry Foundation. So check that out. Final announcement before we get into the poems. We have just today launched a citywide literary events calendar. So if you go to poetrycenter.org/calendar, you will see a calendar of literary events happening all over the city. And this is amazing. One of these used to exist in Chicago a long time ago, and then it fell by the wayside, and instead I get emails every week that say, what's happening in the city? And I say, I don't leave my house except for Blue Hour. I don't know what's going on in the road. Now I can say, go to poetrycenter.org/calendar and check that out. So, those are my announcements. Oh, that, and please don't bump that table. Hello, everyone at home. Let's say hi to the people watching on the live stream. Hello, live stream. You're wonderful as well. Okay, so we are going to have an open mic. It is going to be 5 people. I'm going to pull these names one at a time from this here ceramic durian. I ask that if your name is called, that you read for 1 poem or 3 minutes, whichever comes first. So if you have rewritten the Iliad, just read like 3 minutes of it, okay? Or like 2.5 minutes of it if it's the Iliad. Self-care note, poetry induces feelings. So please take care of yourself. If you need to step to the back or step outside, go to the bathroom, get some water, please do so. Just do so respectfully of the poet on the mic. Deal? Deal. Deal. All right, who's first? Let's see. Sunshine Lombre.
Hey y'all, hey. So this piece is inspired by Orb Reaper spiders because the woman eats the man during intercourse. And the concept of just giving your all is so beautiful to me. She spins silk, slow designs, geometric, eccentric, she swings, ebb and flow, she climbs until her web is grown. Completely from her excretions, her artistry leaks out in loose lesions, and he taps on the edge. He knocks on her door, gently. He's ready. He wants to become one. Entangled in her artistry, woven into her magic, trapped for all eternity, and he doesn't want to break free. He says, leash me. Wrap your web around me and bring me to my knees. Take hold, take control, shape my flesh and make a mold of a man you want to hold. I know your hands make magic, so have your way with mine. Embrace me with your slime and eat me alive. As long as I'm surrounded by your warmth, I'll be fine for you. I'll wait. I'll linger. I'll lay around for a lifetime waiting to be wrapped around your finger. I'll never hurry your perfection, waiting to reach the heights of an opera singer. I'll never hurry your wizardry. For you, I'll linger. He says, consume me. There is no doom as long as my warmest extension is in your womb. I don't die, I bloom. Bit by bit, drip by drip, with each bite and blood sip, I become more of yours. And our union grows more, so devour me, consume and deflower me. I want to be a part of you. I want to be inside of you, so take me in. I want to be in your skin and every part of the blood within. And even though my flesh is torn apart, I'll always beat with your beating heart. And though my body is but a memory to remember, always, only for you, I'll linger. That poem's called Linger. I just want to make an announcement.
Oh, great.
Okay, quick announcement. May 25th, I am hosting a poetry slam.
Woo-hoo.
Yeah. I'm at Mama Africa's Marketplace. It's on Eventbrite. Hit me up and I'll give you details. Thanks.
All right. Many applause for Sunshine for anything.
What is the name of the place where it's happening? Oh, Mama Africa's Marketplace.
Mama Africa's Marketplace.
Yes.
All right. The 25th?
Yes.
Excellent. See Sunshine for details. We've been to a slam in 100 years. All right, let's see. Who is next? Alex Rivera. Alex? Keep the applause happening until it gets here. There you go.
Hello. I'm a little nervous. It's my first time. I wanted to dedicate this poem to my friends that I've lost to gun violence and substance abuse. Battle scars cover my body. I still feel the pain, yet my mind is still foggy. Through the horror's reflection, I feel the Lord's eyes upon me. I beg for forgiveness. I need it all like I'm omnipotent. Substances flowed like tsunami, yet they still couldn't wash my sins away. Things just haven't been the same. I struggle to find balance in these riverbanks of change. People are so strange, walking contradiction. Everybody wants the fame. I'm just here to acclaim my latest victory over demons, over shame, bad habits, and the blame. Shifted perceptions, I ripped the painting off the frame. My teardrops hit the pavement, I was left out in the rain. Like courtrooms arraigned, from violence I refrained, too familiar with the game. From loaded hollow shells, dusted dollar scales, this felt like my hell. And from that path I prevailed. I wish I could say the same for everyone I failed.
Thank you, Alex. What did I say? Poetry. Feelings. Is everybody breathing? We're all right? Yes. All right. Thank you. Next up, Michael Barr.
Okay, so this is happening now. Now I'm on the other side of this thing. Under construction. I work under the floor, crouching in a 3-foot crawl space, shining a small light that cuts through the darkness, pushing cables up to my partner, pulling hard as my zip ties break and falter, waiting for him to call for more, reading the body keeps the score, learning how to be the love you seek, then laying down, half asleep, drifting into daydreams of you, swearing next time I'll be less blue, crying silently, drying tears, hearing jokes above about those damn queers, going home to an empty apartment, feeding Sam's cat with her shrill hunger lament. Feeling lonely, I make love to my hand, wake up suicidal, I go do it again, and work under the floor.
Thank you, Michael. All right, 2 more poets in this open mic of ours. Sam Abdullah. Oh, Sarah. I'm so happy you put the pronunciation down because I ran into Sam. Sarah, give it up for Sarah.
So this one's called, can you hear me? Called the Ex-Cynic's Affirmations. I love even when all the petals are plucked and the bud has gone dry and low in the wind, because for me, that's all that's left is the love. Purple pistol heart and powdery pollen are my comforts when I didn't have a boyfriend or baby bottle of booze to console me. This time I had no room for rage or grief. I cry every time I masturbate, but I swear they're tears of love because we are divine. I scream as I come. We are so in love. We are so beautiful. We are so divine. Not to be a flirt, but I see God in you. Toothless man, cat calling me in the desert streets of a man. Or you, sticky child, belly flopping down the liquid red alien hills of Wadi Rum. Or you, pseudo doctor, filling my lips with mysterious joy, letting blood my lips before I stride 5 kilometers back to Khalda. You are divine, and I want to know how you use your powers. Did you know that you are loved? Did you know that you are divine? Did you know that's all I have left? Does that make all the difference? Once upon a time, there was a little girl who screamed in her mom's arms and suckled on a bottom shelf bottle of cloudy Lebanese liquor that scalded her throat and scarred her heart and liver. Now her heart is so swollen, it overflows with godly love, and she loses her bite, so she fills her lips instead and forgets how to be present. She flies high above the conversation. When she feels low, she flies high in a cirrus cloud of piping hot love. My art teacher strokes Al-Hab Fakat fi Dakhli using inky black pen wrapped in gray, and I love him. And I lived happily ever after. Don't trust the cynics. She never found room for anything but love in her heart of mirrors, even when she wanted to. That's it.
Did you know you're loved? Did you know you're divine? All right, so we have one more poet in this open mic. I will say that it's possible we might have a second round of the open mic because one of our features for tonight is possibly still on an airplane right now. Yeah, she was having to fly in from Boston and there's been some delays and I haven't heard anything in a little while. So we'll see. Hopefully we'll have an Angelique. If we don't, we'll have a little more open mic. There's plenty in the journey. Cool? Cool. Thank you for agreeing and rolling with me on this. All right, let's see who we're gonna close out with. Nathan R.
Okay, I'm gonna do something I shouldn't do, and I'm gonna try to revise a line as I read it. That's a bad idea. I can't like edit this, it's a screenshot. I'm from Arkansas, and this is about growing up in the South. An alternative to boiled eggs, crack them into the Snack Master, an infomercial sandwich press that looks like a briefcase humidifier. The 1980s churning out brown, plastic, and vinyl upholstery for 90s landfills. Softball teams of cancer dads who can't see the 21st century creeping around the corner. Any long shadows must be the Kremlin, not the factories, not the pensions. Maybe we're better off without the union. Piling into an F-150 or Silverado, bud in the cooler, windows down, a dog in the bed, FM radio, cracking one open on the way to the lake. My wife made us some sandwiches. I've still got the poles in the back. Times are tough, but must be getting better. It's not like it was, but there will always be weekends.
All right, one more round of applause for everybody at the So I'm going to do a little intro as though we have both of our features. You know, we'll see what happens. Rolling with it. We're very chill here. I'm not at all type A. Everything is fine. No, really, I'm like B+. And like really, I've rolled it back in this decade to like a solid B+, A- type. Enough about me. So when I was thinking about our two features for tonight, George Abraham and Angelique Zobitz, applauses for them. I was thinking they're very different poets and they write in very different styles, but I was thinking about how they each put this particular kind of lens on the world and sort of fracture and heal and break and put back together the world and ourselves in it. And sometimes when I look at their poems, and sometimes it's like a telescope, and sometimes it's a microscope, and sometimes it's a magnifying glass, and sometimes it's a kaleidoscope, right? And everything is like, what is happening here in the best way, right? And I think that is so much of what I love about what poetry can do, is to give us that kind of lens on the world and let us see it in new ways, even when we think we know it really well. So super excited to present to you at least George Abraham, if not George Abraham, and Angelique Zobitz. So George is clearly gonna go first. I'm gonna read their bio. George Abraham is a Palestinian-American poet. Their debut poetry collection, Birthright, published on Button Poetry, won the Arab American Book Award and was a Lambda Literary Award finalist. They are currently the executive director for MISNA and are a recipient of fellowships from Kundiman, the Arab American National Museum, Sewanee Writers Conference, National Performance Network, and more. They are currently co-editing a Palestinian global Anglophone poetry anthology with Noor Hindi on Haymarket Books. Is it out?
Next year.
Next year, okay. Making us wait, making us wait. Published by Haymarket Books. where we are right now. Awesome. And our Litowitz MFA and MA candidate at Northwestern University. Please give many applauses to George Abraham.
Thanks for having me, and it's so lovely to be in a room with so many folks. And yeah, today's a low social energy day, I think for obvious reasons, but I'm really grateful for everyone to be being here. It's interesting having released a book in 2020 that then I returned to it from the lens of the current escalation of genocide in Gaza and think about how haunted the book is, how unintentionally prophetic, like things, little marginalia I completely didn't think that much about turned into like, oh wow, that is like literally on the ground reality right now. And that's a weird thing. So I'm gonna I like to experiment when I do poetry sets. I'm gonna do a thing where I read from the book and then try to stitch it to current thesis, work in progress poem, and see where it goes. And Nakba Day is on my mind, of course. The Nakba never ended. I think about a lot of Palestinian thinkers go from, instead of like 1948 as the singular catastrophe, into thinking about it as an ongoing cyclic, singular, as in like it started in 1948 sort of, and then just has been sweeping and sweeping and accumulating and accumulating, and 1948 becomes 1967, Nakba becomes 1970s Black September, becomes 80s Lebanese Civil War, becomes 2000s Intifadas, becomes 2014 Protective Edge, 2018 Great March of Return. Like, we've been here before so many damn times. And so I think that this stitching kind of makes sense. So I'm gonna go from 2018-ish to 2023-ish, without context. A truth about displacement. Most of my ancestors lived unremarkable lives. Before he was my grandfather, he was a boy who laughed at echoing hand farts with his cousins, mocked Shakespeare in his silly English in school, pissed off all the teachers between cigarette smokes. Nabil remembers it like this. Instead of getting jumped, he beat up all 8 of the older boys who cornered him on the playground, and that's the story of resilience before Palestinians woke up in a different country. Not all of us were kicked out by brute force and iron boot, though all were displaced. Some were lucky enough to see the writing on the wall before the wall existed, to wake up to a less swollen sun, bite into that same unremarkable fruit every morning. A truth about displacement. I once burned an American flag and a white nationalist threatened to kill me. A brown boy said, "Free Palestine," and a white nationalist threatened his whole family. And you already know which one the FBI visited. You already know how this story ends. My cousin, the lawyer, tells me, "We're Americans, so we're friends of Israel now." He used the word democracy several times, and his tongue didn't reject it. Every line from the cartographer's pen drawing a red-stained atlas hostiles the landscape until it becomes our blood. This is how every country levels every genome into white evolution study. Palestinian man wakes up in America and forgets himself. Evolution study. Humanoid species adapts to strange cartography, ascends the food chain. Once I came out as non-binary and a Palestinian man looked right through me. He was queer. painted us lone islands in all that ocean, and I have since known queerness to be weapon more than identity or politic in the hands of men. Anything can be a border if you try hard enough, even bodies. The line where cell meets wall, the line where hand meets rupturing chest, where a pair of unwanted lips leave a dull etching of an unnamed country on my cheek, a truth about our bodies. The limbic system, control center for emotion and memory, is named from the Latin limbus, meaning border, meaning every memory is a border drawn in limbs, meaning this is where I'm defined, and so gender must live there, at a border, always on the verge of bursting. To ask for a framework for understanding our bodies that doesn't rely on borders, implicit binaries therein, let me disrespect your language with my being. Every man has betrayed and untranslated me in the same way this country has. I wonder what Nakba meant before 1948, or if the word even existed. Some say it was used decades before in the context of pan-Syrian diasporas, or maybe history birthed the word to call Nakba, to call Palestine, to call memory of, and now no one can look at me or my country and not think catastrophe, and I can't forgive Israelis for that, or Americans. How can anyone afford forgiveness in a time like this? When the state called Gazans human animals, their messaging was clear: let them die. When they bombed the school and hospital and church, before they bombed the school and hospital and church, when they blamed their men beneath the shrapnel, the women and children turned human shields, their message was clear: we let us die. When our freedom fighters broke the apartheid fence and for the first time returned to their land, those tears were translated into words: we never said let them die. When siege after siege, our mothers beg the state for the return of their children's corpses, stolen, preserved mid-death, kept as currency, their message was clear: please let them die. When the scholars pave over us in their studies, say civilian casualty, say human shield, say prayer and thought, the failures that constitute their life's work ring clear: let them die. When the BBC apologized for misinformation that gave the entity justification for our genocide in a casual, brief sentence before turning to the weather, their message was clear: let them die. When again, the boy emerges from the rubble that once was Gaza with a small kitten in hand, teaches life with what breath he can muster, we cannot let them die. When the last sky was true to form, when love was a supreme violence, when we wrote and organized and called and raged and mourned and witnessed and mourned and could not witness and witnessed and could not mourn, we acted as if it was the only choice we had. We let them die. When the settlers built makeshift barbecues outside of jails during hunger strikes for Palestinian humanity, their message was clear: let them starve, then let them die. When the lyric I enters this poem, it will tire of witness, sun clear into a void of a nation that cannot see itself, let alone the antimatter of us. Alone, unwitnessed, may they die. When the poets, comfortable, institution, share poems where we're legible only in death, or poems of living happily during the war, while the authors who wrote them say, beg, please do not live happily during this or any war, the cost of their living was clear: they let us die. When the well-meaning audience member asks why my poems are so dark when I am a light, I do not repeat the words of the genocidal politician, the rhetoric of children of, I do not say you'd never love me any other way. I do not say of your image of me, let it die. When the university, any university, With active investment in weapons, companies puts out statement after illiterate statement, naming fictitious beheading of babies before saying the word Palestinian, the cost of their tenure tracks, their look around the rooms, their anti-racism trainings, their ways in which clarifies itself, will let them die. When their DEI was one permutation from the truth, they let us die. When again the academics rave about Edward Said's Orientalism being the first text in which they saw themselves. When again they refuse to engage the Palestinianness all over a text like that, let alone any of Said's work on Palestine. When they fail to articulate a stance amidst our slaughter, oh, Said, ya Habib, how we've let you die. When again, the lone Palestinian poet at the university, any university, unearths skeleton after skeleton in the institution's archive, the former president who the prime minister awarded the CIA collaborator turned director of Poetry Foundation, fun facts. The institution's stance will be clear. In the midst of our genocide, they cheered, let them die. When a week from now, a month from now, a year from now, the settlers at the same institution will laugh over Crown-funded cocktails, over search committees debating a single word, over equity, over inclusion. Your Palestinian colleagues will still be grieving, if not defending our jobs, if not defending our lives. We'll still be asking, who will be the exquisite face the institution steals to make legible the ways they've let us die? When generations from now, we will still be struggling to find the poetry in all of this. When time will dilate into a future when the Nakba comes to the West's doorsteps. When no future, no truth can convince an illiterate institution within a failed nation to choose life, what emerges is clarity. They will call it sneak attack and admit their willful unlistening as they ask why? This is my final generosity. I cannot lie. When the Arab apocalypse comes to America, let us believe in the impermanence of countries. Let us believe in the bulldozing of walls. Let us invert the starlit vectors of a name. Let us unname, unarchive, unarchaeologize the origin. Let us sing the singularities of our being. Let us reflect not, singe rot, not err, and break plot. Let us believe in the miracles of the lyric, the flowers unspringtimed. Let us discover the beginning of language, in the breaking of seasons. Let us believe in the living of fathers in winter, the returning of mothers in winter. Let us believe in this unsilencing of snowfalls. Let us believe in the splitting of bread unbodied, the quenching of wine unblooded, and hallowed be thy, hallowed be thy. Let us believe in our people who walked on impossible waters. Let us believe in the beginning of the cold season, yes, and let us believe in the hearth of another impossible fall there. Let our belief in question, case, and metaphor return us in faith to the land. Return our songs to the land. Return our bodies to the land. Return our land to the land. Let this break our hearts, unrafted. Let this save our arts, uncrafted. I can't bear their springtime. It'll be winter, all winter, and spring, and summer. And we'll still be waiting for another fall. My father died in autumn, and it was Can we imagine 40,000 years of winter, the rubble of it? A year for every unknowable death beneath the avalanche. All of them, such Palestinian deaths, they became American deaths. My father died a death so American it became a Palestinian death. On the opposite ends of oceans, we are and are not one in corpselessness. Empire wants us to think ourselves exceptional in grief. Whiteness wants us to think we are unmournable in oneness. Is there a door on the other side of winter, or is every season just tunnel? This is the winter that became the winter that never ended. America deserves no redemption of springtime, deserves only heat death from which none of us wake, for all of our sakes. We'll stop this world for you, Ya Gaza. We'll stop this world, and the apocalypse of time was an apocalypse of contact. 1948 reached to touch 1492 through our bodies. They touched our land like a finger reaches for a uvula. Disciplines, regiments, the contamination of horizon as a history of sky and sea flattened to merely touch. How their imagination cannot hold this infinite, infinite longing. Was poetry ever a form capable of ending us? Was poetry ever a form capable of ending? Language can also be a history of touch in the throat. That my Arabic's lack haunts my every English is a wound and structure. They touched our living, and so they touched our dreaming. That I've never dreamt in our native tongue is a myth of touch and spectral illiteracy. May we peel their letters like the skin of an apple. May their country's history snakeskin. May our ghosts never let them sleep. Thank you all.
One more round of applause for George. If you, like me, were holding your breath without realizing it, I would invite you to now breathe again. Air is important, yes. We don't seem to have an Angelique, so I guess we're going to do more open mic. You feel good about that? All right. Apologies for whoever gets to go first. But you get to go, so that's exciting. All right. Who is it? It's Annie Zack. Annie. We're gonna applause like really. Okay. This is called a poem for East Palestine, Ohio, spring 2023. The report said, in the name of efficiency, the trains are becoming more dangerous. In the name of speed, for better margins, for decreasing costs, for progress and growth, we will add more cars to each run, make each train longer, more collapsible, more combustible. We will spill indigestibles into the well, spill shimmering oil over your flat expanse of dirt, because what is dirt in the face of plastic anyway? Dirt can't live up to plastic, may as well be the slogan on the penny alongside the flag on every official state seal. Can't live up to, can't outlive. My chocolate Jesus is wrapped in plastic this Sunday, this bendable little God at the center of everything. God would want the trains to be efficient. God would want your margins to improve quarterly or biannually at least. God would understand. Meanwhile, we are slicked seagulls, slippery whales,
soaked in unidentifiable viscous liquids. That image, once a harbinger of endings, now muted, now ordinary, now par for the course, now expected. Now some people will die. Now that's the cost of doing business. Now don't be so naive. I still believe in direct action, that the people who tie themselves to trees have the right idea. Prepared to die in the dirt, for the dirt, or the now deceased notion of what dirt used to be. A nutrient-rich foundation, a carbon sink, a level field, a source of life, a source of wealth, and the surviving notion of what it is, an ownable plot, a zoning line boundary, a valuable opportunity for a grave yet to be dug. Thank you.
Thank you, Annie, for kicking things off. We're gonna do 4 more so that we can be, parallel. We started with 5 people, we're gonna close with 5 people. It's gonna be great. It already is great. It'll continue to be great. It's an ongoing greatness. Okay, we are gonna hear from Anand Laltabak. Anand Laltabak.
So I've been here maybe twice, and I don't even know if what I have is considered poetry. It's trying to write lyrics for songs. So, yeah, very, very much the first time up at Open. We've been seated in a dark age, looking for better days. Call out all the mistakes, but these call-outs trigger blind rage. We don't care. Lost miles at sea, just seeing possibilities. I cry tears. They're salty, but the ocean's within me. Offshore, they're fighting against unity. We all know what's in store for those clinging furiously. When I hold on to this, I can't let go of its possessive grip on us. So slip a little bit, reckless abandonment. We're waiting on a new day, waiting for a new saint. Drinking Satan's Kool-Aid, telling us to stay safe. When I hold on to this. We cut short our ecology into economy. Lost our community to get more commodities. No chance for you and me, when it's just you versus me. Fuck the patriarchy. It's time for them to back the fuck up now. They look like the clowns. The world's upside down. There's only one way out. I'm holding my faith for it now. When I hold on to this, I can't let go of its possessive grip on us. So slip a little bit into reckless abandonment. Get a gift, pass it on, reckless abandon. Get a gift, pass it on, reckless abandon. Get a gift, pass it on, reckless abandon.
Reckless abandonment. All right, next up we have Ryan. You write down in front.
Hello. I really like reading first because every time somebody else reads, then the shoes get bigger, and so at this point the shoes are just the whole room inside. So that's fun. But thank you all so much for being here. Thank you to everyone who's read so far, of course, especially to George. Do you want a happy poem or a sad poem?
Happy. No, happy, please.
I heard sad.
Read the good one.
What was that?
Said read the good one.
The pig one?
The good one.
The good one. Oh, okay. Both good. Okay. This has a running title, so I'm just gonna read it as it runs into the poem. I wrote this. I don't know how many people here are familiar with AWP conference. It's like a big writers conference that happens every year. Many years ago, before there was like a global pandemic, or like kind of as it was starting, it was in San Antonio. And my hotel was like right down the street from the site of the Alamo, which is just like in the middle of like shops and stuff. It's really surreal. So this is a poem that I wrote, sort of about that. When you walk home alone past the Alamo, it is well into the oil-black night. You stumble upon this monument to men. Ghosts come oozing from this marble obelisk in cobblestone plaza. You hear the muskets and the cannon fire, screams as Santa Anna's soldiers overwhelm Texan forces. One of these ghosts is Davy Crockett, as played by John Wayne, who tells you he's fighting to grow a republic like a boy grows into a man. You do not see any of the ghosts, the people he was fighting to keep enslaved. At the last bar, your friends, all women, hope you get home safe. You feel this thing between your legs, feel your pale body, that the kinds of privilege you're told will keep you as safe as houses on empty shadow streets like this one. You think about all the ways a house can be unsafe, inside or out. When you walk home alone past the long stone wall around the mission, you lock eyes with a khaki-clad guard in a 10-gallon hat, watching a hand near his holster. This wall is a white picket fence, and this church with big front door and triangular roof is a house decaying its way into righteousness. It's not your home, but still your ghosts. Seems like there's always a war going on, always some men trying to bludgeon something into stone. And everywhere you go, the ghosts hover above you, try to show you where it hurts. Thanks, guys.
That was a good one. That was a good choice. Good work, Ryan. All right. We're going to have two more poets before we close out tonight. Olivia George. Olivia. I make so happy that there's so many folks in the workshop.
I used her at plays and actors did this part for me. This is part of something longer, but I'm going to start at the beginning, so I don't think it matters. It's called The Greek Corner. It was some seasonal chaos, and even though I had long since stopped dressing up, I still felt uncomfortable. Had already disappointed one cousin's child who could tell when I held her I was nervous, was already glancing at the time, finding Nick's eyes for a chin up, head tilt. You done? I silently blessed the phone call with my sister before. Let's take 2 cars. Just then, my aunt catches the glance and chins in. Hey, Nick, do you want to see my Greek corner? We assume she means, do you want to go smoke weed? But still, we have to ask, your Greek corner? My little spot with a bunch of stuff from my trip to Greece, of course. Very normal. We followed her lead. For like 3 weeks, she stayed with a girlfriend who has a house there, or timeshare or something. Nick has family, so they had been talking, nodding, yes, yes, familiar. And the way my aunt's been saying, man, they got away. Away from the kids and the grandkids and the husband, not that she doesn't love them. She waves us out the back into the yard across the deck that her husband, my uncle, built. Her husband, my uncle, who had the nerve to go bald after she fell in love with him for his hair. Past the round above-ground pool, the only kind for making currents. When we were kids, my uncle, her husband, would toss in a watermelon. Look how a heavy thing floats. He'd say we were cleaning it. Past plastic playthings scattered all across the lawn through a sliding door, the only door to the extension. There's gym equipment and the old couch and other miscellaneous surplus, including, oh my God, there's actually a Greek corner. In one corner there is a sort of shrine, a side table with cloth and souvenirs which she shows us in turn as she tells us each treasure's story. A bottle of sand from a beautiful beach, a blue-domed figurine. She picks things up and puts them down wistfully. A scarf, then a coaster, then from deeper in the corner, from behind the table, she pulls out an enormous glass bong. Anyway, want to smoke some weed, she says. We laugh a lot, then we retreat again. And the way my aunt leans back and says, man, we really got away. Her house, this house, before the extension, once felt far away. It was maybe a 25-minute drive from mine, just a few towns over in Bohemia. Long Island is so ridiculous. A suburb, a few square miles of cast vinyl, less than an hour from Levittown, called Bohemia. And here is my aunt, with her eyes closed, in Greece. Thank you.
All right, we're going to hear from one more poet, and then we're going to close out for the night and for the season. Eli.